Thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. A North Korean soldier crossed the border into South Korea early Tuesday, showing his will to defect to the south. He's the second North Korean individual to defect to the south this month. The 2024 U.S. Democratic National Convention kicked off in Chicago, where Vice President Kamala Harris is set to be officially nominated as the party's presidential nominee. Her party's 2024 policy platform also includes a vow that the United States will stand by South Korea and other allies to counter North Korean threats. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel has accepted Washington's new Gaza ceasefire deal, leaving the rest up to Hamas now. A North Korean soldier defected to South Korea on foot early Tuesday. According to a South Korean military source, the soldier, who is reportedly a staff sergeant, crossed the military demarcation line in the northeastern county of Gosong, Gangwon-do province. This is close to where North Korean soldiers were recently seen laying mines, and also where South Korea has operated loudspeaker propaganda broadcasts. The source added that South Korea's military tracked and monitored the individual as he came south. The soldier has been handed over to relevant authorities. Now, less than 2 weeks ago, a North Korean defected to South Korea by crossing the maritime border. As a tropical storm Jongdari approaches South Korea, the alert level has been raised from interest to caution as of 8 a.m. on Tuesday. This is according to the Interior Ministry, which also activated Level 1 of the Central Disaster and Safety Countermeasures Headquarters. The Korea Meteorological Administration stated that the tropical storm is expected to hit Jeju Island starting from noon and is expected to weaken around Wednesday morning to a tropical depression. The Interior Minister urged the ministries to minimize damage by patrolling along coastal campsites and walking trails. And he also emphasized that objects that may fall, such as signs or cranes, should be removed in advance. Vulnerable areas, such as those at risk of landslide, should also closely monitor the situation in preparation for heavy rain. The U.S. Democratic Party convention has begun over in Chicago. Ahead of the four-day event, the parties come up with a new party platform emphasizing cooperation with allies, especially South Korea. Our Choi Soo-hyung has more.
With the upcoming presidential election in November, the U.S. Democratic Party has unveiled its new policy platform that clearly states its ongoing support for South Korea against North Korean provocations. On Sunday local time, the Democratic National Committee released the 2024 Democratic Party platform. In the platform, the Democrats emphasized that they have always stood with South Korea in the face of illegal missile enhancements by the North, and they will continue to do so. They also stressed that they will never turn their backs on their allies. On Monday local time, the opening day of the Democratic Convention in Chicago, the Democrats said that America is strongest when its partners are strong. They criticized former President and current Republican candidate Donald Trump, claiming that his actions damage U.S. relationship with its allies, making the country less safe. The platform also stated that the U.S. will continue to lead the world and will work with allies in Europe and the Indo-Pacific to counter security cooperation between North Korea, Iran, and Russia. Meanwhile, the U.S. Vice President and current Democratic candidate Kamala Harris announced that she would raise the corporate tax rate if elected. On Monday, James Singer, a spokesperson for Harris's campaign, stated that if Harris wins the election, she will increase the corporate tax rate from the current 21% to 28%. Singer explained that this is a financially responsible plan aimed at reducing the tax burden on workers and ensuring that billionaires and large corporations pay their fair share. Trump had lowered the corporate tax rate from 35% to current 21% during his presidency. While Harris is planning a rise in corporate tax, Reuters has reported that her Republican rival Donald Trump has hinted at the possibility of eliminating the $7,500 tax credit for electric vehicle purchases in the U.S. if he is re-elected. Experts said if this tax credit is removed, it could directly affect electric vehicle sales and have a negative impact on the battery industry. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
The U.S. has approved the potential sale of Apache attack helicopters and other defense-related products to South Korea. According to the Defense Security Cooperation Agency, the U.S. State Department has given the green light to a potential government-to-government foreign military sale worth some $3.5 billion US. This comes as Seoul made a request to purchase up to 36 Apache attack helicopters, as well as helicopter engines, Hellfire missiles, and more. The agency said the sale would support the foreign policy goals and national security objectives of the U.S. by bolstering the security of allies like South Korea. The sale now requires congressional approval. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel has accepted a U.S.-led proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza and a hostage release deal. Washington's top diplomat also called on Hamas to do the same. Lee-seung has more.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Israel on Sunday in the hope of getting Israel and Hamas to agree to a ceasefire and hostage release deal. During his visit, Washington's top diplomat also held talks on Monday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Isaac Herzog. After their sit-down, Blinken said that Israel had agreed to the U.S.-led proposal while calling on Hamas to do the same.
In a very constructive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu today, he confirmed to me that Israel accepts the bridging proposal, that he supports it. It's now incumbent on Hamas to do the same. And then the parties, with the help of the mediators, the United States, Egypt, and Qatar, have to come together and complete the process of reaching clear understandings about how they'll implement the commitments.
Despite Israel's agreement, Blinken said that even if Hamas accepts the deal, a number of complex issues would remain for mediating nations and negotiators to work on, but did not elaborate on what those issues might be. But with past ceasefire deals failing, Israel and Hamas continue to blame each other for the lack of agreement. Hamas on Sunday accused Netanyahu of putting conditions on the deals that only benefit the military in prolonging the aggression in Gaza. However, Netanyahu on the same day stressed that Israel cannot just give and give, hinting that it's not willing to accept conditions put forth by Hamas. Meanwhile, Israel conducted airstrikes targeting a Hezbollah weapons depot inside Lebanon. According to a report by Reuters, citing security sources, the strike did not result in any fatalities. However, Lebanon's health ministry said 8 were injured, including 2 Syrian children. The Israeli military said that it conducted airstrike on a number of Hezbollah weapons storage facilities, adding that with the presence of secondary explosions, large amounts of weapons were destroyed in the attack. The latest airstrike is the second targeting Hezbollah weapons depot in the past 3 days, as the Israeli military targeted another on Saturday, leading to 10 deaths, including 2 children. Lee-seung, Arirang News.
Russia said Monday that Ukraine had struck and damaged a 3rd bridge in Russia's Kursk region. As Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy said, creating a buffer zone in Russian territory is the final goal of his country's incursion. Ian reports.
Russia confirmed Monday that Ukraine has attacked and damaged a 3rd bridge located along the Sime River in the Kursk region. Ukraine has yet to comment on the strike, but 2 bridges were already strategically targeted and destroyed within the past week, with military analysts saying they were part of critical supply lines for Russian troops defending the area. It's been 2 weeks since Ukrainian forces began a shock incursion into Russia's western region, an operation that President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says is achieving Kyiv's objectives, which include wearing down Russian forces and carving out a buffer zone. Zelenskyy added that his troops were unleashing what he described as maximum counteroffensive actions. Russia's emergencies ministry reported that more than 121,000 people had been evacuated from 9 border districts in the Kursk region. Zelenskyy said Monday that while Ukraine's allies have supplied long-range weapons, they have also imposed restrictions prohibiting the use of weapons deep inside Russia. He urged allies to loosen curbs so that the Russian invasion could be halted.
If partners removed all existing restrictions on the use of weapons on Russian territory, we would not need physical entry, particularly into the Kursk region, to protect our Ukrainian citizens in the border area and destroy Russia's potential for aggression. However, for now, we cannot use all the weapons available to us and destroy Russian terrorists where they are.
Such restrictions were put in place to avoid crossing red lines set out by Russian President Vladimir Putin. But Zelenskyy urged allies to be bolder in supporting Kiev.
We are now experiencing an extremely important ideological shift, namely the entire naive, illusory concept of so-called red lines regarding Russia, which dominated the assessment of the war by some of our partners.
Zelenskyy also said on Monday that Ukraine now controls over 1,250 square kilometers of Russian territory, including 92 settlements. As Ukraine demands a full withdrawal of Russian troops before any sit-down for peace talks, Russian presidential aide Yuri Yushakov said that the latest incursion has pushed the prospect of any such talks further away. Meanwhile, despite the war at home, Russian President Vladimir Putin departed on Monday for a 2-day visit to Baku to uphold Moscow's historic role of mediating peace negotiations between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Ian Jin, Arirang News.
This morning, the government and the ruling People Power Party held talks at the National Assembly and announced the overall directions for next year's budget proposal, focused on boosting the economy and improving welfare for the socially vulnerable. Specific plans include increasing support for small business owners, households with many children, the victims of real estate rental scams, farmers, and military personnel. The government and PPP also aim to increase the budget for public medical care and science and technology R&D to better prepare for the future. The budget proposal will be reviewed by the Finance Ministry through the end of this month. Then it'll be sent to the National Assembly for a final review scheduled for completion by the end of the year. Coronavirus has been going around here in the country, and this is causing alarm bells to ring, especially as schools are now reopening after summer breaks. An Sung-jin has this report.
As students start to head back to school, the rise of COVID-19 is looking to hit its peak. According to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency on Monday, by the end of August, there's expected to be up to 350,000 COVID-19 infections per week. This figure is close to last year's peak. The agency has pledged to pay closer attention to spread-prone areas and to stabilize the supply of medicine and test kits. This comes as the Disease Control Agency announced that following a cabinet meeting on Monday, approximately 300 billion won, or $224 million, will be allocated to buy additional medicine for COVID-19. This is enough to treat 260,000 people. Securing a budget for more has been crucial as usage has surged by more than 40 times over the past month. The additional supplies will first be provided to high-risk groups and then successively to pharmacies nationwide to stabilize supply. In particular, authorities are paying close attention as most elementary, middle, and high schools across the country will begin their second semester this week. An official from the Disease Control Agency added that COVID-19 prevention guidelines were distributed to schools last week. Those who have been infected should rest at home and return to school once symptoms have disappeared. They also emphasized that a student's period of absence will be recognized as attendance. Authorities have also tightened the criteria for what is classed as a mass infection at high-risk facilities from 10 people to 2, blocking further spread as early as possible. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
To lessen the burden of childcare and educational expenses on parents, South Korea has introduced the Neulbom School program that looks after elementary students before and after regular school hours. The system is now expanded nationwide starting the new semester. Iuni has more.
On a weekday during summer vacation, first graders at an elementary school in Gyeonggi-do province are engaging in a variety of activities. This is part of the Neulbom School program, introduced in March of this year and expanded in the second semester, to provide education and care services for elementary students before and after regular school hours. Education reform implemented by the South Korean government this year has made significant strides to address childcare challenges and ease the financial burden on families by integrating existing childcare services and after-school activities into Neulbom School. Currently, Neulbom programs are available to all first graders for free, unlike existing childcare services and after-school programs. Most importantly, the operating hours are longer, starting as early as 7 a.m. and running until 8 p.m. as needed. Songlin Elementary School is focused on providing a wide variety of classes that cater to the needs of students, spanning from dance to computer programming.
Surveys of parents showed a strong interest in more diverse programs, including more physical activities and better support for students to adjust to school. The launch of the Neulbom School program has allowed us to address many of these suggestions, which is very fulfilling as the program coordinator. I'm growing more confident in our school.
Following its trial run last year, Songlin Elementary School was awarded with an Excellence Award from the Ministry of Education. Through planning and preparation, the school made key adjustments to better run the program. To ensure the success of the program, it is important to address several concerns, including shortages of classrooms and teachers. Let's see some approaches to address these issues.
Using the same classrooms for the new after-school programs caused inconvenience, as teachers had to clear their classrooms. This year, we reviewed available spaces, repurposed small and underutilised rooms, and changed the classroom furniture to meet special needs. Now, regular classes and after-school programs run smoothly without conflict.
To address teacher shortages, the school brought in instructors from the city's dance association.
Whacking is the most fun dance. I'm excited to come to school for dance class. Dancing is really fun.
As part of its Neulbom program, Songlin Elementary School is already expanding its range of programs to include students from other grades. Cheerleading is one of the programs.
At first, being the only guy made me worried about feeling left out, but everyone has been very supportive, and practice has been a lot of fun. I'm excited to continue cheerleading in the future.
With collaborative efforts from both the government and schools, Neulbom School will expand to include second graders by 2025 and serve all elementary grades by 2026. 이은희, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. In Italy, 1 person died and 6 people are missing after a luxury yacht was struck by an unexpected storm off the coast of Sicily early Monday morning. A search operation is continuing for those missing, including British tech tycoon Mike Lynch and his 18-year-old daughter. According to the Italian Coast Guard, the 56-meter-long British-flagged sailboat was carrying 22 people and anchored just off the port of Porticello when it was hit by a ferocious storm and sank. Authorities said the missing 6 come from America, Britain and Canada. The sailboat, named Bayesian, was owned by Lynch's wife, who was among the 15 people rescued. Reports say the yacht capsized at about 5 a.m. local time on Monday, with its wreckage lying 50 meters underwater. A Peruvian university has reported that it has achieved the birth of the first successful clone of the Peruvian Paso horse. The researchers at the Universidad Nacional Toribio Rodriguez de Mendoza used somatic cell nuclear transfer technology to clone what is regarded by many as Peru's national horse. William Bardales Escalante, director at the university's research institute, said on Saturday that a sample of the epithelial tissue was used, where fibroblast cells were obtained from for the clone embryos before being implanted in the female horse. According to another researcher at the university, the purpose of the clone project was to preserve and reproduce animals of high genetic value. A rare astronomical event was observed on Monday night across the globe as a supermoon and a blue moon coincided to light up the night sky. According to NASA, Monday marks the first of 4 consecutive supermoons expected this year. However, the combination of a supermoon and a blue moon is a rare phenomenon. A supermoon occurs when the moon is at its closest point to Earth in its orbit, making it appear significantly brighter and larger. A blue moon occurs when there is a second full moon in a calendar month, or the third full moon of a season which has 4, as was the case this time. The blue supermoon is expected to fully appear for 3 days, allowing an evening spectacle for sky watchers across the globe. Kim Xiang, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Typhoon Jongdari is heading towards Korea's southern regions. The typhoon will pass west of Jeju late this afternoon, so those in Jeju will feel the most impact this evening before downgrading to a tropical depression around midnight in the waters west of Mokpom. Typhoon alerts have been expanded in waters of Jeju Island, and heavy rain alerts are in place for parts of Gyeongsangdo provinces. And these typhoon-related alerts will expand in southern regions as the day goes on today. Heavy rain of 30 to 50 millimeters an hour will lash down from the afternoon along with strong winds. Central parts of Korea, however, will see passing rain instead during the day today. Despite rough weather, the heat continues this afternoon. Seoul and Daejeon should get up to 36 degrees Celsius. Chuncheon and Gwangju will top out at 34 degrees. Now, on and off rain is in the forecast through Thursday with a slight drop in highs, but it will jump right back up heading towards the weekend. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That wraps up our midday edition of Arirang News. Thanks for watching.